some of us, not because we're better than anybody else, but because we're playing a different role, are being called to release those contracts with 4D and shift into more embodying unity consciousness, which requires a different frequency in our nervous system. And 4D duality is a frequency that is somewhat taxing on the nervous system. That fight or flight is on high alert in the 4D. Welcome to Activations with JJ, April 2024 Energy Update. In today's episode, we'll be talking about all of the up and coming themes for the month, including timelines, releasing our contracts with the 4D, collective ascension, and quantum shifting. It's quite a bit to pack into one podcast episode, so without any further ado, let's get going. Hello, dear beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode. I'm excited to have you join me for this month's energy update. As you heard, there are some very interesting themes coming through for the month. Not only that, but I have so much going on that I'm excited to share with you. New things dropping in all the time. I want to extend a special welcome to any of you who might be first-time listeners. I'm so grateful to have you here. For anybody new or old, if you would like to offer a little token of gratitude, feel free to just like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. If you're on Apple Podcasts, it always helps if you rate the podcast and leave a review. This way we can spread the messages that I share to everybody on this planet far and wide. So I want to give you my little disclaimer I always do before every energy update. I know there are some people out there that don't love the energy update thing because it kind of feels like it takes away people's sovereignty where you're just like listening to somebody else's idea. So this is what I want to remind you. If you feel drawn, I encourage you to pause now or after you listen to the podcast, to sit down, to meditate, to go on a walk, whatever you need to do to get in tune with your higher self, and ask what energy updates are coming through for you personally. If you're a light worker, you're also going to probably tune into energy updates that your soul family, that your followers might enjoy hearing, and they might be different than mine. So I just want to throw that out to you because we need your voice. Everybody's voice is needed. Everybody's intuition is needed, and everybody's wisdom is needed. We got to get this going, and we're going to do it together. That's one of the themes, in fact. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into our very first theme. So I had a very interesting thing happen to me in March. Some of you might know that during March, I offered a special kind of one-on-one session. These were called quantum alignment sessions. That was the specific name that came through, and I learned a lot when I was doing those sessions. One of the biggest themes ended up being timeline collapsing. And I'm not the only light worker or psychic to be bringing through the theme of timeline collapsing right now. It's not like it has gone away, but ever since the 2/22/22 portal, so February 2022, I feel like it kind of came as a lull. It was a little bit of a lull. And in this month for 2024, it is coming back with a vengeance. I don't know what it has to do with. It might have to do with that eclipse. I actually think it does. Some of you might have heard a reel I posted about a week and a half ago where I mentioned that so much of what we're going through, we feel like we're still living out karmic cycles, and there's like a loop we're stuck in. And a lot of that isn't a loop. It's actually weaving in and merging timelines. And then all of that will come to a very abrupt close after the eclipse. So you have that to look forward to. I'm excited because in my Starseed Gridwork community, I have a very special challenge coming up. And we're going to launch it on the day of the eclipse. That's actually what we felt drawn to do. So we're going to have a live virtual gathering. If you're not already part of my Starseed Gridwork community, let me tell you, it is definitely the place to be. It's a hopping place. There's so much going on. There's so many people making connections, people finding soul family in ways that I didn't even think like was going to be part of what this is. So many people stepping in there and like, I'm not alone anymore. So find out a little bit more about it by clicking on the link below. You don't want to be hanging out in the wings. We want you on the stage with us as we kind of are the way showers here. It's a really fun place to be. We are being like observed, right? We're being sort of the example and the model for what's happening. Now, everybody's playing their role. It is like a stage. I think that was a great analogy too. Some of us are stepping onto that stage a little bit sooner than other people. And just like Dolores Cannon always says, everybody's playing their role. They come in at their time. And some of us just happen to be ascension guides and way showers. We're some of the first ones to be experiencing these things. So going back to the time and timeline collapsing, I think it's really interesting that I'm offering my multidimensional soul integration right now. It starts on April 12th, actually. And I think it's fascinating because what you're doing is essentially collapsing in multidimensional aspects of yourself. I use the word integration because I really feel like the word collapsing has a lot of negative connotations. But that's really what's going on. I'm going to expand a little bit more on this in a later podcast this month. I have some information coming through a book that I've been reading recently by Barbara Marciniak. It's not Bringers of the Dawn. It's her second book. But there's so much great information in there. And if you're in my Starseed Gridwork community, you already got a taste of this at our March 20th Planetary Gridwork Gathering, where we talked about the Mayan timekeepers. Yes, we did. All right, so that's topic number 1. You're going to be experiencing a lot of that as a theme. Number 2 is all about releasing contracts with 4D, bringing a cycle to an end. Like I said, with the eclipse, so many timelines collapsing, and it includes all those 4D timelines. One of the things that you're going to notice is you're releasing this idea of spiritual warfare. Not everybody, but a lot of you who listen to me are here for a reason, because we are vibrating at a similar frequency. You might be hopping back and forth from different way showers, different content creators like me, and some of them are a little different than what I say. Just because I'm saying something different than someone else doesn't mean that one of us is wrong. That's duality, right? But if your body is telling you that it's time to release 4D, which includes, but it's not limited to, the ideas of the conspiracy theories, and the other one that I feel coming in a lot is like spiritual warriors. They have a place. I talked about this in my podcast in March. There is a place. Check out the podcast. It's shifting from 4D to 5D, because I don't want you to think that you're wrong for doing those things. I did all of that. And I'm not saying that they're, again, wrong in doing it. But some of us, not because we're better than anybody else, but because we're playing a different role, are being called to release those contracts with 4D and shift into more embodying unity consciousness, which requires a different frequency in our nervous system. And 4D duality is a frequency that is somewhat taxing on the nervous system. That fight or flight is on high alert in the 4D. That's what I think. Anytime you hear about someone being attacked, for instance, spiritually, psychically, that is 4D. So it's an interesting thing to hold space for what I'm saying and for what other people are saying, because we want to just immediately say, well, they're right and that person's wrong. That's not why we're here doing this. That's releasing the contracts with 4D. Stepping into 5D, like I talked about last week in my podcast episode, is all about multidimensionality. It's like I can play in any sandbox. I can play anywhere I want to, but I'm not restricted to one. I'm not restricted to this one, where it's the forces of good and the forces of evil, and we're playing it out. Because sometimes some of us are just tired of that. Some of us are like, excuse me, can I get a break? And can I just start like building peaceful new earth communities or whatever it is we want to do? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You get to choose what your reality is. Absolutely. You get to choose what's going to happen on the day of the solar eclipse. Do you know that? You get to choose what timeline you're in. A lot of people are talking about what's going to happen, and they're predicting things. And that's awesome. All those options are there. They all exist, honestly. That's all about that timeline stuff. Gets kind of crazy, but it's your choice. It is your choice. You are a sovereign being. You are not being forced to play out any role. If you want to switch roles right now, more power to you. You can switch. All right, that's topic number 2. Let's shift into topic number 3. But before I do, I want to talk to you a little bit about my upcoming multidimensional soul integration. For those of you who have been with me for a while, you know this is a modality that came forward 4 years ago. And Spirit said, write this down. And I did. And from then to now, it has developed into an incredible tool for people looking to expand and step into 5D. Not only that, I created the modality just so people could receive it. And then Spirit said, well, maybe you should teach other people how to do it, because guess what? The demand for this modality is going to outgrow what you can offer. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of felt like an imposter. But then I created my very first multidimensional soul integration practitioner cohort. Several people graduated from that. I then did my second one, and now I'm on my third cohort. So I have this beautiful community, and I consider them my friends. They are literally my colleagues. We have a circle every month where we co-create. We teach each other about multidimensionality and modalities that we're intertwining with MSI. So if you got a little ping from anything that I just said, because I'm not going to take, hours and tell you about it, I want you to just click on the link. Just look. If the idea of taking what you've learned about past lives and going a little deeper is appealing to you, or if you felt like you needed to add, or like it's time to add a higher frequency modality to your toolkit, then this might be the thing for you. There's no way for you to know unless you check out the link. All right, let's go into topic number 3 now. That topic is, drum roll, collective ascension versus individual ascension. Something very fascinating happened to give me a hint about this topic. During the month of March, and honestly, it was like the end of February and most of March, except the last week of March, I felt some crazy timeline shifting going on. Everybody was in their different frequencies. I don't think anybody knew where they were. And then all of a sudden, people that you'd had in your field forever were gone, like dropped off the face of the planet, gone. And of course, we're used to this as starseeds. We're like, oh, so-and-so's cocooning, so-and-so's integrating. You know the drill, right? It's the season of integration. But I knew there was more to it, because it was coming into my life in a way that I hadn't really considered before. And it started to feel, I don't want to say off, but I was like, okay, Spirit, what's the lesson? Like, what are we doing here? And Spirit said, here's the deal. We are shifting from taking this ascension journey as individuals and learning how to combine that with collective ascension. So people are learning how to hold space for both. And right now, it's a little hard. They really just want to cocoon inside their own pods when they're going through the integration, and they don't want any contact with any collective energy. But would you please let them know that we honor their need to integrate? We understand that. However, in order for the momentum of this collective ascension to increase to the level that will make it more feasible in the amount of time that we kind of have an idea about, it's important for people to both cocoon when they need, but still collaborate, co-create, and commune with other way showers to keep tabs on these groups that they're in. So they're kind of inviting us, when we go into a state of integration, don't fully disappear. Continue to prioritize any co-creations you have. And that doesn't mean all day, every day. That just means like once a week. You could even just connect with a friend or a couple of friends, because it's going to be more difficult for us to ascend in frequency by ourselves than it will be in groups. What you will notice is people who are part of a collective are going to go at a more rapid rate. And I'm not saying I'm not saying faster is better by any means. But if that's what you desire, and most people I work with do, they're on the fast track. They're the high achievers. And there's a feminine and masculine aspect to it. Sometimes when we choose to go slow, we're not going with flow. We're resisting the flow. So it's not just about being feminine, masculine, like, oh, aggressive and not. It's not about that. In these communities, right? Whether you're on a Facebook group, a Telegram group, my Starseed Gridwork community, whether you take a course and you end up being in some kind of group mentorship situation, like my Lightworker Quantum Leap, that is where people are going to experience faster, more accelerated ascension. I'm just going to say it like that. That is also the practice ground for more and more and more community grid work. And when I say grid work, it's like grid work for Gaia. It could be grid work on the blueprint so that we can manifest the structures, the systems, the companies of the 5D. It's not going to be a one-man show. I talked about this all the time in all the things I do. I'm like, listen, do you notice how I'm bringing on more and more and more people into my support teams? I have right now 12 people supporting my Starseed Gridwork community that are part of that support team grid workers. I also have 6 people helping me with my Nexus Advanced Grid Worker training class. In addition to that, there are 12 members of Starmothers Worldwide Global Council. Everything is a collective effort now because that's what we're being invited to shift into. So take that into consideration, run it by your own discernment, and that's topic number 3. All right, speaking of going fast, let's talk about topic number 4. This topic was born out of an experience I had reading Barbara Marciniak's second book. And that book talks all about time, and it talks about the speeding up of time. And you're just going to notice that things are happening more quickly than they ever have before. In fact, this is exactly why my offerings are becoming shorter. This is why I can do a 1-hour session and it feels like we did 6 months worth of work. I could never figure it out before. Do you want to hear something funny? I don't think I've ever shared with this community. Before I started activations with JJ, I did try a lot of different things. And one of the things I tried was coaching for moms who had a side hustle. And I did have a spiritual twist to it. But what I told them, what I literally promoted, was that in a 60-minute session, I could activate things that would set them up for a long time, and that they only needed that. So where other coaches were like, I have a 12-month container, I have a 3-year, whatever it was. I was like, nope, nobody got time for that, especially moms with kids. And I was like, okay, Spirit, what do I do? And they're like, if you declare this, it will be that way. And I was confident. I was like, all right, all I need is 60 minutes with you. Now, I mean, I know that's not great for like a business model for retaining clients and stuff, but I didn't care. I was like, I want to see as many as I can in a short amount of time, so it's like, here we go. And fast forward to today, like 4 years later, and Spirit's saying, yeah, everything is taking less time. It's crazy because you know what? In that book, it talks about how the internet activated that. The concept of the internet and the computers created this sort of time warp that we're in, where everything just accelerated massively. So that's fun, isn't it? That's the topic, quantum shifting. Don't be surprised. Now, that being said, speaking of like one-on-one opportunities and things that I've got, and that I'm cooking up for this month, I typically have a one-on-one offering And what's been coming in to my field in a way that might be able to serve people is I'm going to offer Akashic Records readings again. I have not done that forever, but there will be a requirement. My guides were very specific. They were like, if you offer Akashic Records readings, we highly recommend that you invite the people who come into those sessions to be better prepared than they typically are. Yeah, so they kind of called us out for not fully preparing. And so you'll notice through the link below that I have like this pre-work kind of a journaling activity that I want you to do before we meet. And there's a little guided meditation that you're going to be taken through, because in order for us to get the maximum benefit of our session, it's important for you to put that effort into and prepare yourself. It's not going to take too long. Speaking of time speeding up, it's about an hour's worth of work that you're going to do. And I don't want to call it work. You can call it fun. You can call it fun. You can call it play. But this is the pre-Akashic Records experience. And then during our session, you will do something with me. We'll bring in some different things. And then there'll also be a post-Akashic Records reading experience. So this is kind of like a 3-part offering. One of the middle section is where you meet live with me, and the other 2, you get a special sort of assignment. And this is what came through. This is how I felt I could best support. I think it has something to do with these merging timelines, because what's going to happen is you're going to become aware of all this, and all that DNA encoded filament stuff that I talked about in last week's episode is coming online. It's coming online. In addition to that, as I mentioned before, I have my Lightworker Quantum Leap, which is a 3-week container, very, very rapid acceleration and exponential growth of your business, activating your business if you're a Lightworker. And finally, I just want to remind you, my Avebury retreat is coming up, and that retreat is hosted by Starmothers Worldwide. Beautiful, beautiful retreat with 2 members, in addition to myself, 2 members of the Starmothers Worldwide Global Council. It will take place in Avebury, among the stones. If you are in the area, or it's not too far from you, I do also have a 1-day workshop. There are a few retreat spots left, but I have a 1-day workshop that is going to focus on cosmic channeling and light language. And you can find out more through the link below. You do not have to sign up for the whole retreat, but I would love to have you for it. And finally, that retreat. If you do the retreat, though, you get to have an add-on day in Glastonbury. We'll be traveling over to Glastonbury tour. If you're one of those people that has always felt drawn to go but never did, somehow Spirit was like, there are going to be some people that come forward that are like, Spirit's been nudging me to go to Avebury and Glastonbury for 5 years. And then I saw this. So if that's you, maybe I'm talking about you. Maybe I'm feeling your energy stepping in. Again, we only have a couple spots left for the retreat. We still have openings in the workshop, and I love to see any and everyone from all parts of the world. Let's gather in Avalon. Let's do this. The Star Mothers are coming. We're awakening the dragons. There's healing that we're doing for the land. If you're connected to druids or Celtic energy, oh my goodness, there's just so much that's coming through as we prepare for that experience. All right, my friends, take a deep breath. Slow things down for a second. Speaking of speeding things up, sometimes it's time to slow things down. You are enough. You are enough. You have capacity for all of this. Your capacity is limitless. You are ready. You are prepared. You are qualified. Your voice is needed. Your love is needed. And with that, my friends, I'm sending you so much love. Let's make this April an incredible month of expansion, light and love, growth, And I just want to remind you that I am you and you are me and we are we. Until next time.